Rehearsal was playtime. This is real business. Let's do this.
All right, let's go. All right, welcome to 42, Two Souls, One Journey. Oh, I forgot to press the timer. Start. Okay. Welcome to 42, Two Souls, One Journey, a raw and unedited look at our lives as humans. Based on the 21 grams experiment by a scientist named Dr. Duncan in 1907, who concluded that the human soul weighs 21 grams. In this video cast, we will explore that no matter how we look on paper, our souls journey the same. In today's episode, we have Miss Ashima Suri, a mom, an entrepreneur, a badass artist, BD extraordinaire, Limitless Productions. What else can I say about her? The woman who sat on my back while I did push-ups, because sometimes she's been like that. One of my favorite people in the world. Ashima, welcome to our first official episode.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be here, Shafiq. Yay!
I mean,
congratulations.
Thanks.
First
I say official episode because Ashima and I've taped about 3 of these as practice to sort of get up to this space.
We like our rehearsals though, don't we?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody else to have done all the testing with. So here we are. All the dress rehearsals are over.
Let's see what we have to talk about.
Let's do it. So who is Ashima on paper? Ashima on paper is a South Asian female mom, entrepreneur, dancer, creative artist, writer. What else can I say about you on paper that would make you different than me if we stood next to each other?
Well, I don't know if it would be different. I think that we're both very grassroots. We both really into the community and community building and arts engagement. We're really similar. I don't see us as being like super different in that way. Yeah, we both leave like areas pretty quickly. We show emotions right off the bat. You're like my twin. Yeah.
So, this is perfect for the podcast because like we're trying to prove that no matter how physically we look different or different we are, right? I mean, Ashima's a mom, I'm not a mom. You know, like you've been in a relationship with Anil for how long?
Oh, this is true. Yes.
Right. So on paper,
I mean, it's called laziness. It's just like you say it for a really long time. You're like, I'm done. I've got other stuff to work on. He's great. Very patient.
So if we did a Stats Canada report, we would be very different that way in terms of like on paper.
Surface level.
Like.
Surface level. Yeah. Yeah, very different.
But I think on a soul level, we're very similar, which is why it's so easy to do the first episode with you because I want it to be great and it's easy. It'll be easy, right?
Yeah.
we do this so regularly that
I know.
It's a great way to start.
It's like our daily conversations. It's fine. Really. Yeah, so grab a cup of, tea or some wine or whatever it is and join us.
Or both.
Or both.
No judgment. Right.
No judgment, exactly.
So Ashima, do you remember our very first meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and actually I'll start with my side of the story of our first meeting. Because I was thinking about that today in the shower and I was like, when we first met, would I have thought we would end up here? No, never. Yeah. So for the viewers out there, I had auditioned for Ashima's company called Limitless Productions about over a decade ago. I had just sort of gotten into my performance mode and Ashima was looking for South Asian dancers for a production she was putting together. I remember going in and I've been very lucky. I don't think I've ever auditioned for anything in my life until Limitless. So I came very cocky and I was like, I'm the shit, I know how to do this. And I remember getting there and then all of a sudden my nerves kicked in and then I was like, oh shit. And mid-performance, I started doing a comeback routine and then I skipped into a Britney Spears on the floor dance. I don't know what I was thinking, I just did it. And I remember saying, thank you. And then leaving me like, what did I just fucking do? And then I got the call back and I actually joined the company. And here we are celebrating 11 years of the company.
10 years. Well, I mean, the company's been around since 2007, but officially we launched in 2010. So you came in I believe the early part of 2010. So it was like January, February is when we first auditioned for just a number of like pop-ups that we were doing. We really started moving really fast. And you were definitely not the only one like coming in that, especially for South Asians, where it's their first professional
Yeah.
audition, right? But that was the reason why Limitless was born in the first place, was so that it can be that safe space where South Asian artists could feel like they could come in and experience that. And part of that was also being able to help build artist capacity so that they can learn how to come in, rehearse, build a bio, do a resume, do those things too. So it was really more about a professional development in a lot of ways. So what I loved when you came in was just like your authenticity and your just ability to fuck things up, but still like no, but still with a great attitude, right? You came in and just had a good time. And really that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that personality, somebody who can come in and just sort of jump in. And I think, that's been consistent from day one to this point.
Thanks. Um, what do you think? So, the whole goal of this podcast is we're different as people, but our souls attracted each other. Would you have said in our first meeting that you thought, like, was there a soul connection in our first meeting for you?
Um, it's hard to say. And the only reason I say that is because I think that both of us, I can speak more for myself, is that we were really like paper on surface people at that time. So I don't even think that we tapped into our own depth to even realize what that soul connection looked like. We hadn't explored it until we really went through Limitless and a lot of the pieces and all the other stuff. Did we realize like we have the sort of ride or die mentality of, oh wait, like this person is soulfully, like I've known them, like there is a knowingness, like I can be in the same space and still feel like comfortable and safe, right?
Right.
And I think that took some time, and that took a lot of, I think for both of us, a lot of different journeys. We've like we've lost things in our life. We had to move through people. We had to go through Limitless change so much over the last 10 years. We changed with it. But I think we changed in a way at the same time when we went deeper.
Right.
We just started to like unveil. And we did the work. And we still continue to do the work.
For those who think it's
the
over.
gruesome work.
Yeah,
it's not over.
It's never over.
It's not.
No.
It's never over. Welcome to 42.
So this is the intro podcast. We'll talk about so this idea was a brainchild that Ashima and I had while I was sitting at WeWork. We were working on non-artsy projects, and I was 42. Ashima was 42. We usually tend to joke about how she's a little older than I am. But this idea
baby ones.
We're
in the same year, but let's go to continue.
A little older. But the fact that it was 42, we were in the same space, and wanted to explore what 42 felt like. I know for me, getting to 42 was the last few years were really hard. Like my 40s were challenging in so many ways. Like I'd lost love. I had an addiction issue that I had to deal with. I was coming into myself. And, at that point I was like, oh my God, like here are my tribe, here are my people who are feeling me and journeying the same way with me, which then came up to this whole idea that, wow, at 42, I wanted to talk to people who were at the age of 42 and how we were similar.
Yeah.
How we are not at the age of 42, and COVID happened in our 42s. So I think that sort of pushed things back, but it gives me a whole different perspective on, like here we are, two souls trying to navigate life the same way. And here, a decade later of our friendship, we now can see similarities. And I don't know what the right word is, but like we had to really go through the hard work and see each other go through the hard work and support each other in that journey.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like then in here, this is why we're able to do this here now.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years was very telling for both of us. I think I don't know what kind of sort of darkness sort of occurred, but it it just, uh, there's just been so many ups and downs and so many pieces of us that have been unveiled, that have been really confusing. I think that that's probably like, we would sit with it, we don't know what to necessarily do with it. And um I think we both tend to withdraw a little bit also when the emotions get really hard, but we've also learned how to confront them
Right.
when we're ready to. And that's really where the work comes down to. I think all of it is good. Like sometimes when it is hard, I think we play the avoidance card and feelings all the time, right? Like I think that's like a societal thing. When it gets really painful, we
Right.
move away, or addictions, or um, bad relationships. Like all sorts of things start to occur in our life, until we're ready to deal with ourselves.
Yeah.
And you and I have been dealing with ourselves in our
Right.
40s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like feel like Limitless was the starting point of some of this conversation, right? Like what
Mhm.
you were doing at Limitless back a decade ago was like we did Creep, where we talked about like how we feel like creeps and like write words in our body that were hateful, and how do we turn those to words that weren't hateful. Like abuse, we like there was so many things that came out of Limitless that even if you went in on a surface level, there was no way you could come out on a surface level. Like
Yeah.
you pushed for that, and I don't know if purposely or unpurpose, consciously or unconsciously at that time, but definitely now, I think if we look back, we're like, wow, we're so lucky that we had to go through that because now we can talk about some of
Yeah.
those things. Yeah.
And I think that that was a really special time. I think from 2010 to um I'd say even more like 2012, 2013. I think around about that period of time, and especially like when we had the Fringe shows and we had big shows, so there's a lot more pressure and we had to think about technicality. And I know I felt a lot of pressure just in general to think about all the nuts and bolts and what do I do, like as a director or a producer or whatever it might be, and plus all of the things that were being released from the artists who were coming in. There was a lot. It was like an abundance full. And, at the end of the day, I couldn't handle that all. Like it was a very, I had many meltdowns. I was like, what's going on? Right. But I kept a lot of it inside. Like I think I mostly, I gave myself permission to collapse and I gave myself a break and then revamped Limitless and went back to it. And then not revamped Limitless, but Limitless was the same, but I would come back, pick up the pieces, and then go back at it again. Come back, pick up the pieces, and until there was a point where I really did start to, um, in, I can't say enjoy it. I always enjoyed the process. I think it's more that there was this, it was stormy in the beginning. It was very turbulent in the beginning because there was a lot of unknown and there was a lot of feelings, and a big part of that was definitely the stories we were telling, like Creep, and dealing with issues of bullying and abuse, dealing with racism, dealing with loss, dealing with death, dealing with the things that I think as South Asians we haven't dealt with. um, a lot of people haven't dealt with it, but South Asians definitely don't talk about feelings in that way. So when we put that all out there, we had a number of South Asians also, and non-South Asians in the company, and all of us were really exploring that. And I don't feel like I was equipped to deal with both trying to run a company and also trying to take care of the emotional mental health and well-being of everyone else, and that became really overwhelming.
I mean, thank you for bringing that up. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
so, like when you are the director and the owner of the public space, like, so one thing, female South Asian running a business, not just running any
Hmm.
business, running a creative arts business, where
Yeah.
your intention is to build and bring out artists and let them own themselves. Meanwhile, still doing the same thing and learning yourself.
Yeah.
What made you want, like, every time a breakdown happened, what made you pick it up and keep going? Like you could have just been like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, like we don't get told that we have to hold space for other people when we start this kind of creative space, right? It's almost like
Hmm.
when you do the yoga journey, right? You're in a yoga studio,
Yeah.
you hold space for everybody in that space.
Yeah.
Same thing with owning a dance company,
Yeah.
right? You have to
Um,
hold.
I think that that's a really good question. I think that really the stories were really important to me to tell. Um, the a lot of those stories were part of my own journey and my own life. I felt like I owed myself to tell those stories. I had already committed to putting a show together, so I had no choice to fucking pick it up and just stick with it. Oh, I can drop down for a day, but I got to go back to rehearsal because I have committed and I already have a show happening, right? Like,
Right.
so I'm very commitment oriented. So when I commit to something, it does take a lot for me not to do something. So it didn't matter what was happening, I would figure it out. And I didn't have a child at that time as well too, so it wasn't something that it was like a no-brainer. I was a bit addicted to it, to be honest, as well. I was addicted to getting into the studio. I was like, I loved going in and to create and choreograph, and I've been like that since I was a child. So it's not something that was just, you know, limitless. That was since I was very small. I always would visualize choreography and directing new stories and plays and stuff like that, and I really wanted to see this out. I wanted to play it out. I also had some grants. And so the grants, it's not that, you know, I can just drop out when I have grants that I'm accountable to. So as a businesswoman, or even as like as an arts creator, if I'm accountable to X number of other organizations, I have to fulfill those duties while being able to set boundaries. And now setting boundaries didn't happen till a little bit later into my Limitless career. So I think that once I did that, Limitless was a lot easier for me to be able to manage. And boundaries is huge to this point. Boundaries is everything. Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to boundaries. I feel like that's also something that like we grew together on boundaries. I don't think we had I had no boundaries before, but we got there. But before we go
Yeah.
there, I want to ask, what was the funniest thing you've done today?
Oh yeah. um, let me see. What's the funniest thing I did today? Probably my conversation with you right now. It's fine.
I mean, for everybody out there, Ashima, just like we have giggles with each other. I feel like there's so much, like we
Yeah.
somehow transcended our conversations from sometimes we get serious, but then we just have so much love that everything is so like, I don't know, our souls want to giggle. Like I feel like you're one of the person that my soul wants to giggle with and laugh with all the time.
Yeah.
It's Ashima time. Like I get excited. I know I'm gonna laugh
Same.
if it's crazy or funny.
Yeah, or even if it's sad. I think the thing is that the interesting thing about it, and it's interesting because a lot of times I tell people in advance, I'm like, oh my God, if you're really sad, I might start laughing, but it's not because I'm laughing at you. It's because that's a really, like, it's an emotion, and that's with you too. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, going back to that moment again, you know, back on stage where it could be like whatever, and you'll just make me laugh. I see you, I want to laugh. It doesn't matter how serious the circumstances
Right.
or the situation, I need to laugh. Like, so, but that's great. I get like a serious amount of laughter therapy when I talk to you.
And I think also there's something about like, you know, when the serious topics, we're supposed to have this composure, be a specific way, but there's some unspoken rule between us that lets us just do whatever we want and with no judgment and we get away with it. It's like, do you feel that? I feel that with you. Like, I'm like, it's a safe space that's been created where I'm like, it's okay. I can laugh when it's awkward because Shima will get it. And it's no
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
disrespect. It's just like that's how we
yeah.
deal with it. And we've given each other permission to be able to do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, it's really interesting how that's happened. We just give ourselves permission to be whoever we are in that moment in this journey. Um, and we don't have those, I don't think we have expectations on each other.
Not anymore. I feel like maybe in the
No,
beginning, not anymore.
of
Yeah, yeah.
course.
Let's
In
be
the
honest about
beginning,
that.
yes, show up to rehearsal on time, practice.
Right. Speaking about showing up at rehearsals and practice, so boundaries. I
Yeah.
have like I still go through this journey of boundaries. I grew up without having any boundaries, and then really, for my own sanity, really having to build them or learn
Yeah.
about them. And
Yeah.
especially as artists, you know, I think we think that we give energy and all this kind of stuff, but we forget that we need
Mhm.
to like at some point just close it off and say, I can't take your shit on right now because I got to figure
Yeah.
this out, or I
Yeah.
need quiet time. How was that journey about like through Limitless? How was that journey of boundary for you? Because there's a lot of kids that came through like sorry, yeah, like younger souls that came through Limitless, and you
Mhm.
were the elder, and you were also in charge, like you were the company owner. So all of a sudden, you became Didi, which is older sister. Like you became the person
Yeah.
that anything happened, we went straight to Shima, or we counted on Shima for these things, not
Mhm.
realizing you were journeying the same way.
Yeah, I think I just felt like I needed to be a caretaker a lot. Like I just needed to, someone's coming, one of the artists or whatever, and they're, upset about something or they need something. I did, honestly, my intention was to be a safe space for them. But because I didn't really, hold my own and set those boundaries for myself, I can't say if that was like what they needed. And I think that, um, as I moved on, I realized that the best relationships I can have with the artists that I have right now, working with Limitless, or me as an artist working with other artists, is to have these clear boundaries that allows us to explore our art emotionally, authentically, physically, whatever it is that we need to do to explore, and then leave it at that, right? And I'm not saying that, like, I mean, with Limitless, it's very special. We have some key people who are in Limitless, who travel through Limitless, who continue to stick, with the company, and we have a nice, good relationship. But the thing is, over the last, I don't know, about 5 years or so, 5, 6 years, maybe, Limitless as a whole is very healthy, and I think it had a lot to do with the idea of being able to set those boundaries and being very clear with my professional boundaries while still being empathetic to the needs of the artists that are coming in. And I think that empathy is like a superpower for me in that way, because I can come in and I can understand. It might not always work with everyone. I mean, I know that there will be, it's just like being a boss for like staff, right? Like there's not always going to be agreements. There's not always going to be everyone on the same page. Um, but I realized at an early stage that if I didn't set those boundaries, there would be no Limitless. I couldn't continue the way I was continuing and then still maintain a company and still be able to be this creative choreographer and do the things that my soul journey is sort of requiring me to explore and do in a safe way, and provide that space for anyone else. And it was important for the artist also to have those boundaries as well too, and to be able to express that. But the majority of Limitless is kind of like a reflection of myself. I feel like it's grown. I feel like, for example, you've grown with it. I feel like there's certain individuals who have come within our journey as well too, have also been able to grow with it. And it's a very nice growth. It's very, again, very true. Like there's no forcing the growth. It's just kind of organic and it's beautiful and it's blossoming and there's a lot of love. It's like a really different kind of love. It's not, oh, I love you too. Like it's like, I love you. Like there's like a
Yeah.
deep soulful love. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, 100% agree. And I think also grow or even outgrow Limitless, right? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
how people came in when they came in, like some people outgrew it really quickly and when did other
Yeah,
things. But some,
absolutely.
it was like again, like this soul journey. Like our souls had to come and do a
Mm-hmm.
little contact and they were like, okay, like we're moving forward,
Done.
we're doing something else.
And that's okay.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. What would you say
Yeah.
to a young female, I'm going to say young female South Asian choreographer who is in a space where she's having a hard time with boundaries? What is one advice now looking back you would say? Let me take that back. What would you say to young Ashima 10 years ago who was struggling with boundaries? What would you say to her?
um follow your heart, be true to your heart. If your heart is like saying, that this doesn't feel right, and it will inform you. Just sit with yourself with it for a bit. It will tell you when it's not, when it does, something doesn't feel right. It's there to inform you, right? If somebody's not right or something is not right, your heart will inform you, and follow your heart in that case, right? I think that a lot of times I would stay on a path because of because I felt guilty, right? Or I would feel like, if I would feel bad about telling someone that they can't be in the company, or they can't do something, or whatever it might be, or they can't do this number. Or I would just again go back to, what do you want? What's your intention? And I learned that, like, as I was going through it, but there was a lot of, when the artists, there was a lot of egos at play, which is nothing bad, because we all have egos. We all had it. I had, but it was really strong. It was stronger than the soul element that we have now, the spiritual element of it now. And but there's no regrets. That's like one thing I can say. I have no regrets from the journey or the people that I met through Limitless. Not one person. Every single one helped build the company. They're part of it. They're a contributor, a collaborator. Their work was meaningful. And, I can look at that as an artistic director and step away from anything personal and look at it as, it was really a pleasure to work with you at that time. And I wish you well in your journey.
Nice. That's great advice to give any young artist who's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't take it personally. Sometimes it's just a job. You go in, you do it, and you
Exactly.
take what you can and grow and leave from it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is one performance from 10 years ago that you would love to redo and remount? Remount, not redo. Remount, yeah.
We have to do Creep, obviously. Come on.
All right. Why Creep? What about Creep is so special for you?
Because we spoke about it earlier. So I say Creep because we were thinking, because the pandemic world, which is a big thing, is, to do the virtual Creep. And then we could go global with it, which is so amazing, because people can talk about, tell their stories through that vision of Creep. And essentially, I wanted to remount a couple of pieces for our 10-year lunch party or launch event that we were going to do early this year before everything got shut down. Now everything's shut down. It's not happening live, but it can happen virtually. There's a lot of pieces. I loved so many pieces from 10 years ago. I would love to continue to, look at it, deeper at some point. But Creep has been something like that's been with us for a while. It's been a journey with us for quite some time. And it's a good piece because it's very inclusive of, anyone can do it. Like, anyone can do this piece. They can come in, learn the piece, and then perform it. And that's why I think that, it's a great piece to do again for 10 years.
And also Creep's has many, like, I feel like we did Creep in a performance, then at a church, and like it's shown up, but like we've been able to really take it to different venues, and the message across the board has been the same. We'll put a link somewhere for Creep, if it's, is it online somewhere that people can view it? If we're gonna or when we bring back the idea of a virtual Creep, we'll make sure people can connect to it.
I think that's a great idea. Well, if there is, you can add that maybe onto the 42 YouTube page that they can send a message if they want to be part of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
So what is the meanest thing you've ever done?
I think I passed on the last time you asked me.
And you can choose to pass on it again. I should let that that's an option for people.
Yeah, I know, right?
But why are you passing on it?
No. I mean, it's honestly because I can't think of it, like, unless I was. Yeah, I can't think of myself as being like mean girl, or I just don't see, I don't know. I've done things that, I wish I did better, but I think that I would handle stuff better. But then that was like a younger version of me, or that was like when my soul was like still adapting. And I also know that that was a projection. So for me to put myself into that space of saying it was mean, it was I don't know. I guess with my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, Shawnee, she'd probably say mom was mean if I took a candy away from her or a chocolate away from her.
Right.
So yeah, or I told her to go to bed. That's probably some of the mean things mom's done.
Right.
I hear it all. I do hear it all the time.
It's mean for her, but not for you, right? I mean, when you take that
It's
candy away
not
before you go to bed, it's
exactly
like,
right.
yeah.
She doesn't know, so
Yeah. I guess, like, I mean, the question really comes from, like, it doesn't have to be something that happened recently, or like, obviously, meanness is a time and a place, right? So I
yeah,
feel like for
yeah.
me, my biggest reminder of meanness is when we were kids. So
Hmm.
I come from similar families where we've got siblings, and I used to
Oh
always
yeah.
pick on my youngest sibling, Farah, uh,
Hmm.
to make her cry. Like, this is my thing. We used to, like, my sister Salim and I used to tag team to make Farah cry, and then before she cried, we're like, no, you have to go to the bathroom and cry. And
Mm.
back as kids, we thought it was like funny, or we were trying to give her some, like, we were like, this is what we're doing to make you stronger. Now that we look back,
Mm.
we're like, we were jerks.
Yeah.
It's so mean to pick on a young, like, as far as 13 years younger than I am,
Mm-hmm.
to pick on her, to then give her like a really horrible out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like, would I do it again? Yeah, I would probably do it again.
Yeah.
But like not with the mean intention, for the fun intention. But back then was definitely
Yeah.
like I look back, I was like, oh my god, like that was a really mean behavior, and I don't know where that came to me as a child. Like, it was bizarre that, like we must have seen it somewhere, or we must have been modeled to us somewhere.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have my sisters on next week or in 2 weeks from now, so we can,
Mhm.
ask them this question and see where we.
Yeah, you should definitely ask that question.
Why did we do that? Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
you don't have. Okay, so you're a good older
I
sister
I
then.
know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had moments where I've like teased younger friends, like or family friends,
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 or whatever. And yeah, it probably was really mean to him when I was a child, and I've had those moments. But it never was like something that lasted into, just like with your siblings, it never lasted into a long dispute or anything like that. So it felt like I think it's natural behavior almost that we pick on someone that's younger than us at some point in our childhood.
Well, I mean,
I don't know why we do it.
yeah, the meanest thing you've done to me is sit on my back and make me do planks or
You're
push-ups.
welcome. You're welcome.
And but then my muscles looked amazing at that show, and I could go shirtless, so it was completely worth
Exactly.
it. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the thing is, I learned that from an incredible dancer and choreographer, Natalie Resnick, who is from So You Think You Can Dance. And so when I was taking her dance classes, she would do the same to me. So she would sit on something, and it was really effective. So I was like, I'm going to take what's effective, and we are going to plank, baby.
Yeah.
And we had rehearsals for hours at a time. So we spent a good hour of just like working and toning onto our bodies, right? And like honing it. And we gotta be really real and true. At that time, so many of us were new to this industry, that we all needed it.
Right.
All of us needed to understand what it takes, to be a dancer, or at least into. I mean, a part of the company was acting, but to be a dancer, to have the athletic ability,
Right.
to take on what you need to take on. Now, it sounds probably a lot more brutal for someone who might be hearing it. What do you mean you sit on them? It's not. It's like it's a technique that, is not necessarily just used by me, so I don't own it. But it was more so funny. We mostly laughed,
Yeah.
and that was really, really great. And I did give them an opportunity to do that with me at one point. I think
Mm,
maybe.
I don't remember that because I would have taken you up on that opportunity right away. But if you give me opportunity now, when we connect next time in real time,
As long as
I'll
you have a
take
mask
you
on.
up. Like, I'm in Winnipeg, you're in Toronto, we've got some time.
I
Like,
know. Yeah,
go
exactly.
there.
I'm just joking. I'm just trying to like avoid it.
On her 50th birthday, which gives us long some time from now.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think like you don't realize that as a dancer, your medium is your body. So to make sure that you, as much as you work on the dance or the choreography, you also have to work on making sure you're healthy,
Yeah.
right? And you have to create
Yeah.
those. That's your tool. You have to make sure your tool is just as strong as everything else. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Hmm.
What are the 3 words that would sum you up as a human being?
Um, Compassionate, talented, and funny.
Hmm. Why the hesitation? Like you
Well,
had
I'm just
about
thinking
this.
the right words because, you know, I was trying to think about. It's hard when you have to like talk about those attributes of yourself, right? And you really have to think about, especially if you say you're just picking three. Um, you want to think about what exactly is the one that's at least sticks out in your own mind. I do have to say that it does take like a certain number, like maybe you feel the same. I know with like certain people, those skills become much more obvious,
Right.
right? Whereas with other people, maybe different stuff comes up. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know, and I think like this theory that what you put out of the universe is what you make. You know, like we've come to a point in our lives where when we put those words out, they become actualities. So to be
Right.
conscious and think about those, actually not a bad thing. So it was a good thing that you took a pause because you want to put the right words in the universe because the
Hmm.
universe listens and the universe responds. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Uh, in that vein, what are your three top insecurities?
Hmm. Mm,
Hmm.
so insecurities, the constant struggle of life. Um, I, I don't know if I have like three insecurities. I think I have more of, it's weird. I feel like there's moments of insecurity as a performer, even though I perform all the time.
Right.
Um, I have insecurities of speaking publicly, but I speak all the time.
Right.
Um, and then see this goes back to I have insecurities maybe around certain energies, but I think my people's energies, but I think that that's more a warning sign. That's
Hmm.
more of like that. It's just like, the synergy is not there. So I look at it very differently now. Like if something's coming up in me and I'm feeling a little bit insecure, or I'm feeling a bit more like not myself, then I'm feeling that that's probably not um,
Hmm.
a space I need to be in. So yeah.
Yeah. I love what you said about this. Like the first two parts, because just because I do it regularly does not mean I'm not insecure about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's this myth that because I do it regularly, I'm perfect at it. I'm not worried about it. But I think
Yeah.
as performers, we're
Yeah.
always a little insecure about something. And because,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that you said that out loud. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you choose love?
Love chooses me.
And you guys zoomed in because I knew she was going to say something like that. Oh, nice. And how do you know love? How do you how do you know love chooses you? Like, what are yeah? How do you know love chooses you?
I think love is very different for me now versus like a year ago or whatever it might be. I think I feel love when I'm meditating
Mm-hmm.
and I feel it, my emotions start to spark up. I was like meditating a lot in September, and I every single time I would meditate, I had tears in my eyes. Every single time, which was like not usual for me because that's not actually something that happens for me. So to me, that was love. That was like a releasing of whatever, and there was an expression of being held, of being loved, and it was weird, but that that felt like love to me in a very different way, right? I mean, there's the love that of course I receive for my daughter, for example, when she comes and she gives me hugs and kisses, and it's that kind of love. There's love between me and you, there's that love, and then there's the love within yourself, right? And I feel like by saying it's finding me or it can find me, I feel like there's a home inside. There's a different spirit inside, a clarity inside, a space inside that is very peaceful and very safe outside of a lot of the noise, which I have still a lot of noise in my head. that spews out all sorts of garbage. But I think that there's also love, and to find that love took a long ass time to even get a moment of that. So that was hard.
I feel like we can't, like, we have about a minute before we go to 43 minutes and then we have to shut down. But
Okay.
I feel like we can't end the podcast without talking about Ashani.
Okay.
You mentioned Ashani a few times.
Yeah.
Ashani was born from Ashima, but grew up in the dance studio within, like, I think I've got photographs of Ashani at 2 months in the dance studio with us while we're practicing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, what do we say about her? Like, I feel like, for me, at least, she's an epitome of love. Like, from the get-go, she was such a, like, you're my people, and she was my person automatically without me even thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And for the fact that I have these memories that go back to, like, years ago,
Mm-hmm.
where she was zero, like, where she was like 2 months old, and now
Mm-hmm.
she's 6 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and blossomed this amazing, like, I don't know, like, blossomed this amazing child. What do we say about her? I feel like we can't not
I
mention.
know. I mean, the thing is, it's too bad she's not here. She would have just talked for herself. She's very into talking through the mic and wanting to do the whole thing. She's honestly, I don't know. So every day I'm like, I just don't know. I got so lucky because she's like an incredible spirit that reminds me every day to be better and to work on myself, to find spaces to heal, to do all of that so I can be there more for her the way she is for everyone else. And I think what we just said about her is sort of attests to who she is, because everyone in our neighborhood says the same thing about her. Like, everyone just says, your daughter Shani is got the burst of energy. They can hear her from a mile away. She goes outside and she's like, hi everyone. She goes into another neighborhood, even like my parents' neighborhood. She stops at people's door if they're outside. She just gives them a compliment. She just like gives compliments. That's really nice flowers over there. You did it. And she loves doing it. And I'm like, her heart is so big. And okay, what can I say? She's my butterfly. She's your butterfly. She's
She is.
our, yeah.
Like, she was a soul. Like, I feel like there was an instant soul connection with her that we didn't even think about. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, there was a zero journey with her. Like, the moment she showed up in the studio was like, our souls were like, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any way of explaining it or even thinking about it.
Yeah, you guys connected really like super fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
even just from the pictures that I see, and every time she sees you, like, it doesn't matter how long it's been, she sees you and there's an instant connection. And I can't it's like, it's not something that I think we can really think about. It's just
Right.
you have that connection with her, and she feels so comfortable to laugh and joke with you, to like do all, like, just everything. It's really interesting. It's really beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get her on the podcast next time and explore that with
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She tell her to
So,
count to 42.
yeah. Well, our time is over.
Aw.
Right, I know. But Ashima will be back because Ashima and I do this regularly, and we'll get an opportunity to do this. So, to our audience out there, thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to tune in and join in as our souls connect and talk. Listen to us next week for another opportunity to explore this journey with my guest named Jordan Bon Gore. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
Love
Bye,
you.
everyone. You too.
And let's